A very warm welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow Vodcast, your go-to series for unfiltered conversations with entrepreneurs shaping the future of business. I'm Ritwika Gupta, and today we are diving into the world of jewellery retail. Now, very few purchases are as emotional or personal as jewellery. When Gaurav Singh Kushwaha started BlueStone, the idea of buying jewellery online seemed far-fetched. But today, BlueStone is a well-known name in India's jewellery market. So how do you build trust in an emotionally driven category where in fact trust is everything? That's exactly what we are discussing today. Let's find out. Gaurav, welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow Vodcast. Thank you so much for your time, and it'll be a pleasure speaking to you today.
Thank you, Ritwika, for hosting me.
So first things first, Gaurav, tell me why the name BlueStone. It's a beautiful name. It's calm, it's aqua, it's sapphire. But I want to know from you, what does this name represent for you as an individual and as a company?
Yeah, so when we were starting in 2011, we were evaluating lots of names. So I think one thing we wanted to refrain from was to keep a very traditional or kind of very traditional name, because that's kind of very common in jewelry also. And I think one of the things we were very focused, or we, at least in the beginning also, what we realized we want to do is we wanted to bring newness into jewelry, which is at the heart of it, it's a very kind of culturally ingrained category for India. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to keep a name which is not like rooted in Sanskrit, etc., or in Hindi, but like more contemporary, more modern, and so on. And then while evaluating a lot of options, I came to know that the mines where diamonds are mined are called blue mines. Ah. Right, so it's kind of, it came from that, so blue came from that, and then we just wanted to make sure that we use a lot of, we don't do just the traditional design, but use a lot of gemstones, diamonds, etc. in our design. So just kind of emerged from that.
Right. And you have a fascinating story. You went from being an IIT graduate to working at Amazon. It's an incredible journey, but tell me, when you look back, does this decision to start BlueStone, does it seem visionary, or were there people telling you that, hey, this might be a little irrational?
Yeah, so valuation is like closer to 7,000-8,000 crore. But on the beginning of the journey, I think almost everyone was skeptical. See, e-commerce was picking up in India at that time. There was year 2011, 2012, and those are very early days for e-commerce, but it was picking up across categories. Books were doing good, mobiles were doing good, and then lots of people started in different verticals. And I think all the obvious verticals, like beauty, etc., those are also plenty of companies and plenty of competition in that. Jewelry, I think, was, and I was also looking at a vertical, right? So it's not that I come from jewelry background or anything like that. I moved out of my first venture, which was a social network. Right after Amazon, I started that. And then I was looking to start something in e-commerce, and I was looking at a lot of verticals. And I had absolutely no idea about jewelry. I never stepped into a jewelry store before starting BlueStone. I was not married, so hence the need never arose. So I looked at a lot of categories, but then when I looked at jewelry, I realized that this is a category kind of made for India. See, every other category, India would be 1/10 or 1/20 the size of the US market. Jewelry was a category where India was as big or maybe bigger than US market. So I realized the category is beautiful. Also, this is a category which is shielded from, this is a category which is fundamentally shielded from horizontals. Right. So folks like Flipkart, Amazon, they cannot very easily do this category. They can sell something else. They can sell USB drives. They can sell any packaged product. So any product where you actually take a box from someone, pack it and ship it is a fair game for horizontals, and that is how it played out in US also in the prior decade. And the biggest question in our minds, in our investors' mind, and in almost everyone's mind, was who would buy jewelry online. Yeah. And I think, in any startup, in any idea, in any company, when you start, everything is not answered. If everything is answered, then the big ones will do it anyways. So there are some uncertainties, there are some question marks, etc. So I would say 99% of people did not believe that can actually be done online. Yeah. But we went ahead and we built the category online. So 2012, 13, 14, in the early years, we had to do a lot of innovations. But it's not very, the category naturally does not lend itself to e-commerce. So a lot of innovations, a lot of hard work, but that paid off in the end.
Absolutely. I was actually, in fact, about to ask you because when you started out online buying of jewelry, it was almost like a insane idea. It was very far-fetched, especially for a market like India, because jewelry market it's a very emotionally driven market, right? And one more thing also is because this is a very legacy-driven sector. Like, you have a lot of these legacy brands, you have these neighborhood jewelers, so family goes to the same shop, the same person, right? When you're buying jewelry, how did you convince your customers to trust a startup brand at that time?
Yeah, so like you rightly said, jewelry is a very relationship driven, and in fact, many of the people have these relationships over generations also. Yeah. I think to understand that, we have to understand how India is moving societally, or socially. So till around 30, 40, 50 years back, a lot of us were actually living in joint families, but also living in the same city, same towns where we belong, right? So generations over generations were living in the same place. But over last 30, 40, as the modernization is happening, people are actually moving from one city to another. Right. So I live in Bangalore, and if I see around myself, let's say in my apartment, my friend circle and so on, almost 80 to 90% of those have actually moved to Bangalore and not born and brought up in Bangalore for generations. Now when that happens, those relationships actually naturally get broken.
Yeah.
And because there's a category where it's very difficult to trust someone else, the migrant population, the population that is actually now living in a different city from where their grandfathers, forefathers, etc. were living, they are not that trusting of the local jeweler in that new city, right? So at that time, they generally, for their jewelry purchases, they tend to trust national brands more, brands that they might not have bought in their hometown, but that they would have seen in their hometown. Sure. Right. So I think that happens a lot, and at that time, I'm saying that is what actually unshackles that relationship that had been there for generations. But then on top of that, you have to build reasons to buy also. So right. We realized that today's customers, so I'm saying 2011-12, there was a very small cohort of people. Yeah. The number of people with internet connection, with smartphones, etc. was very little, was very low. 2009 was the year when iPhone was launched, right? So 2011 was still very early for that. But if you look at the behavior today, almost everyone is online all the time. They are doing almost all their research, all their discovery, all the minds are being made up online. Yeah. Right? So that is essentially, and hence it's a very beautiful way to actually capture people, that when they are spending their time online, and there's always that latent desire in women to actually look at lots and lots of jewelry. And you can buy it maybe once in 2-3 years, but nothing should stop you from enjoying it, from experiencing it, let's say, monthly, weekly also. So that is the behavior, and when women who are our core TG, when women actually look at our designs for long, and we actually focus a lot on creating differentiated designs, once they spend enough time looking at it, then there is that implicit trust that starts building up.
Right.
And that's how they then walk into our stores.
So walk us through, Gaurav, you had a great idea and you decided to start BlueStone. What were the initial years like? How did you put together your team? I'm sure you needed a design team, a procurement team, just walk us through everything.
In our early team, most of the guys were from non-jewelry backgrounds. So I had my junior, his name is Samir Gandhi, he was my junior in IIT Delhi, and then he went to Ahmedabad. So I convinced him to join me. Then Sudeep, who was Samir's junior from Ahmedabad, Samir brought him also along. I had another guy, Anshul, who was heading marketing. Okay. He worked with me in my previous company also. Then he went to IIM Kozhikode, and then after he graduated, he also came back. So these were the this is a core non-jewelry team. From jewelry, we had a girl called Shipra. She had her career in Tanishq all throughout. So she was the one who kind of managed that jewelry piece, as none of us had any understanding. Right. So highly professional team, everyone kind of expert at their job. And then the tech team, etc. also. And technology is something that comes very naturally to me also. So I was, a lot of initial coding I did myself. So that was the team, and then we decided, and strategically we decided that we want to create our own line of products. We don't want to create just a marketplace where the other brands are being sold, etc. So we created our own set of designs, around 300 designs or so, and then decided to launch with that. And I think earlier also I mentioned that initial years were a lot about iteration, solving problems using first principles, etc. So I think one of the first problems that we faced at that time was in the product presentation itself. Jewelry is not a very easy product to photograph, because it's generally gold and diamond. Gold is a reflecting surface, diamond is a refracting surface. So gold reflects the light and diamond lets the light pass through. Both these properties are very difficult for camera to manage. And then on top of that, you actually have to photograph them at 10x, 20x zoom. So on a glossy surface, when you actually zoom at 20x, even a minor aberration, minor dent, which is not visible to naked eye, camera will catch it, and it would stop looking beautiful. So those initial photographs that we see, and products are beautiful, but when you look at those with the camera at 20x, it just didn't feel like jewelry. So we realized very early on that photography is not going to do it. We looked around, but no one was doing anything about it. I don't think anyone was kind of very serious about selling jewelry online also. And so we were the first ones in the world. So we decided, and we were the first ones in the world to then start using 3D rendering techniques to present jewelry. So we'll recreate the entire thing virtually, apply materials like gold, diamond, etc., and then virtually take how it's done in construction, etc., or in real estate. Right? The photo of the apartment that has not even been built, that's not a photo, obviously. That's a 3D rendition of how it would look like. So something similar we did in jewelry, and the outcome of that, or the output of that, was very high quality.
Very nice.
And in fact, some of our investors said that, will you be able to produce a jewelry this beautiful, what you're presenting?
The picture looks better than the product, yeah.
We said we'll strive for that, and we'll make sure that we do even better job of creating the actual product. So that was one. Then there were other challenges also. So as we were ramping up, we realized that one of the most beautiful thing about internet is the kind of choices that you can provide to people. In offline, it's difficult, but when someone is sitting at home, she can spend hours and hours looking at it, right? So when you're in that spot, then maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 rings are enough in that price point for you to choose. But when you're sitting at home and browsing, the more options, the more education you give, the more you can tell people that, okay, the rings is not just a ring, there are 30 type of rings also. And in every price point you have 30 type of different rings. There's cocktail ring, there's journey ring, there's eternity ring, there's lots and lots of other options also. So, and hence we needed to create lots and lots of designs.
Sure.
Now the biggest challenge with that was that the sales volume had not picked up. If we were to produce a wide catalog, and if you were to inventorize everything, which is, let's say, keep everything in inventory and then take the order on those, then all the capital that we had raised for growth would have actually gone and just sat in inventory. Sure. And even more, because these are expensive products. Gold and diamonds are expensive. So we realized, or we decided to do everything, we decided to do just-in-time manufacturing. An idea was simple that, okay, we would take the order and then we would manufacture it. Sounds simple, but when we tried working with the existing manufacturers, existing producers of jewelry, we realized that they are not geared for that. They are not geared for, let's say, creating 15 pieces, all of different design on the same day. Or in the next 3-4 days. So that delivery timelines were some 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and more, even worse than that was that the eventual product that would come out would not be to the specification.
Sure.
These are handmade products, right? This is not a very standardized product.
Yeah.
So if I'm selling someone a ring which has a certain look and it's in 6 grams, it better come in 6 grams. It cannot come in 9 grams. You can't go back and ask customer for more money. So a lot of those issues were there, and we realized that if we were to grow and if we were to create a huge business, we would have to do manufacturing ourselves. So we set up our own manufacturing, we started doing our own in-house manufacturing. So lots of these things which were not kind of very intuitive, or which not have thought that we would do when I started, but then a lot of heavy lifting was needed to move this category. This is not as easy as, let's say, just selling books, just striking some deal with someone and then collecting orders and then shipping it.
Sure,
very
absolutely. No, absolutely. So how do you see the market today, this in the organized jewelry market, do you see people now, do you see things are better, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of how people buy and discover jewelry online? Is there a difference?
Yeah, so I think one is from consumers' perspective. I think in a lot of high value categories and not just jewelry. Let's say if someone is buying a car today, they also do their research online. Right, so in a lot of high value categories, this whole research, figuring out, educating yourself when you're in market for that particular category, a lot of this happens online, be it healthcare, when you're looking at certain ailments, certain hospitals, be it when you're looking to buy cars, be it when you're looking to buy jewelry, you basically tend to educate yourself a lot.
Yeah. And technology plays a very big role.
That happens on internet. You can't go and visit some 30 dealerships in Mumbai if you're just looking to buy a car, right? Which car is better, which car is not better, you do that online. Similar thing happens for jewelry also. So people do a lot of research online, women do a lot of research online. And after that, once they've made up their mind that, okay, this is the kind of product we want to buy, and these are the 5 shortlist. After that, they walk into a store. And I'll again give the parallel of cars, right? You can do whatever research you want, but you're not going to click a buy now button on a portal and car would come to you tomorrow.
Because it's still a tactile sort of a...
And plus you're not looking for convenience. When you're looking to buy something which you buy once in, let's say 2-3 years, you're actually looking for experience.
Yeah.
And online beats offline hands down when it comes to the first leg of that experience, which is research. And offline is superior when it comes to the last leg of that, which is actually looking at those things in person, feeling good about it, and then making that purchase.
Understood. So, Gaurav, the young consumers today, right, I'm talking about the millennials and Gen Zs, they look at jewelry as not really your locker investments, but as fashion statement.
Yeah.
Give us an understanding of how your buyer profile, how consumer behavior has also changed over the years towards jewelry.
Right, so I think you picked the right point there. And I spoke about moving from joint families to nuclear families and then more. Yeah. I think now those are replaced where we are all living in apartments with neighbors, etc. Yeah. Around Diwali there would be 3 or 4 parties. So, and you would not kind of dress up a lot for those, right? You will not like wear heavy sarees, lehenga, choli, etc. Yeah. You would actually wear much lighter clothes. So along with that, the kind of jewelry that you wear with that also changes. Sure. And also it's not like if you have to attend 3 or 4 parties, you would prefer to wear different kind of jewelry with everything, right? So because of this societal change, I think the jewelry, the kind of jewelry that is being bought by new age people, new age women has also changed. It has changed from, let's say, one heavy 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 30 lakh kind of a set that you would wear in every wedding. It changed to much smaller pieces and much more frequent purchases that you can actually swap or change.
Sure.
When every week or 2 weeks when you are just meeting up with friends or going into a party, etc. So I think that societal change is what's leading to this.
Right. And many men also are buying jewelry these days, right? Like I think there is a renewed interest in men's jewelry, I think.
So I think for men were largely ignored in this category for the longest of the time, right? Just that I think till 10-15 years back, whenever I see a man wearing jewelry, it would either be a thick chain, the thickness of which would represent how rich you are, or it would be a standard engagement ring, right? So it's either a gold band, or if it's a diamond ring, it's just 3x3 or 4x4, and that's the only design created for men ever in this. So we saw that as an opportunity also, and we created designs which actually are designer products for men. And that is one of the best selling areas for us.
Gaurav, can you walk us through your journey to profitability? Because a lot of the entrepreneurs who are watching this, they would definitely be interested to know, the ones who are especially wanting to get into the jewelry business, what does it take to be in the jewelry business? When do you break even? How has your relationship with capital probably evolved over the years? Walk us through that.
Sure. So I think our initial years and initial capital had gone into building capabilities. Because we were, from the very beginning, we decided and we were reimagining this business. Traditionally, the way jewelry business has been built is someone ran one shop for 10, 15, 20 years, and then that person became strong in that area, so started kind of expanding into nearby areas. And I think that was the only way to grow in this category for the longest time, because if you are, let's say, known in Bombay, you build that reputation over 15-20 years. Right. But then if you try to open a store in Kolkata, being a Bombay jeweler, no one there would know you. So you have to again spend 20 years there building the same reputation, and that's why you see a lot of jewelers who have built over years, over generations, they have very strong pockets. So there would be a jeweler who's very strong in Pune. right? But that jeweler would not work in Belgaum. Similarly, some other jeweler might be strong in Belgaum, etc.
Is that changing though? Like,
I'm saying internet and new age mediums actually made that possible, but that's a very capital intensive thing because it's a chicken and egg, right? If you invest in marketing, if you invest in your core capabilities but don't have enough stores, you'll be losing money there. If you open too many stores before doing this, then you'll be losing money in the stores.
right.
So it's a chicken and egg problem, and it's very and hence it's very difficult to start in this category. The gestation periods are huge. It takes time for you to actually build that reputation, build that connect, and build that familiarity. The idea was to have a very large footprint so that these costs, these headquarter costs, so these fixed costs actually start becoming smaller and smaller in percentage terms. So our stores are highly profitable, and as we are expanding, these fixed costs are becoming smaller and smaller, and eventually it will be minuscule given the scale of this category. Given the size of this category, I think those numbers would drop even further.
But tell me, how does one stand out? You know, if somebody is wanting to get into this business and you already have like very established brands, you also have like a number of online jewelry brands as well. You know, how does one stand out and, you know, make his or her presence?
See, it's very difficult. What worked for us might not work for the next player.
Right.
And that always happens in businesses. So a core window of opportunity opens, and few people start that. Many people start that. Few survive, and few thrive there. If I try to do something that worked for Amazon 20 years back, it will not work for me. Right? So it's very different. Hence, it's very difficult for me to say that, or it would not be right for me to say that, okay, these are things that work for me, so you do that and it will work for you also. It possibly won't. I think in today's world, if someone is starting, I would say think of the disruption that is coming now. Think of what mobile phones did in 2010, 11, 12, which made us what we are. And so that worked for us, but going forward, what is the next disruption that is coming? There's one which is on everyone's mind right now, that's AI.
Yeah,
right?
no.
So if you can reimagine a world with AI doing a lot of things, and then how this category in that world would look like, and then I think that is, if there is something that is breakthrough there, which the incumbents like us or the other players would struggle to do, I think then there is an opportunity.
So tell me, Gaurav, as someone building a consumer-facing brand in India, what do you see as India's advantage? You know, what makes building in India exciting for you today?
So I think one thing is the scale that India provides. In any other, so let's say if you go to Europe, you have lots of small countries, right? With their own nuances, with their own regulations, laws, etc. So I think the beauty of living in a big country is you can actually build a very big business, just as simple as that. And many of these product businesses, or let's say D2C consumer brands, etc., you have to have feet on the street. You have to kind of do a lot of operations also. So these businesses are generally fundamentally shielded from, let's say, American corporates, etc. So if you're building a social network, if you're building a search engine, it's just very difficult to outcompete Googles and Facebooks of the world. But here you're kind of naturally shielded. And then I think lots of categories are open, lots of people are starting other categories. And I think going forward, and the future belongs to those who actually learn to master internet, how to use. I've seen, let's say, celebrity influencers also, right? These days, influencers who know how to master internet, social, etc., have become people just with that knowledge, and by applying that knowledge, people have become bigger celebrities than a lot of people who actually work in movies. People have bigger fan following. So I think mastering internet, understanding it, living and breathing it is something that will give that will give the core reason to win in this particular category. And that's why I'm saying a category across categories, we see a lot of disruptions. I remember if you ask me how many new brands were created in this country from 2000 to 2010, there'll be very few. And even those would have come from Hindustan Livers, ITC, etc. Right? It was kind of a monopoly. For someone to create a brand with no distribution, with no marketing money, it was almost impossible. Internet broke both the modes. Your marketing became one-on-one, so you don't need a 50 crore budget to start your brand. You can do it with 5 rupees also. In 5 rupees also you can acquire a customer. Right? So it became kind of very linear. And then the distribution also with third party, with logistics, payment, all these services which are required for e-commerce becoming kind of infrastructure layer.
Yeah.
You can distribute one-on-one. You don't need HUL kind of a distribution. You don't need to have 20 wholesalers, hundreds of distributors to start to get the ball rolling, you can actually start sitting at your home and just everything is available as a service now.
Fantastic. So now you've been in the business for about 15 years, right?
Almost close to.
Amazing. What's your favorite piece of jewelry?
I have lots. So we have one of the collections we have is the art collection, which is inspired by European art of the medieval times. I think that is one of my favorite collections. And then I think in terms of another thing is the cocktail rings that we have. I think those are very beautiful.
Nice. So Gaurav, tell me, what is your larger vision for BlueStone? How do you see it evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
See, I think jewelry is a category that Indians are very passionate about. One of my biggest grouse is that people have just not innovated enough on designs. And culturally, fundamentally, our heritage is very rich. In no other culture you have, let's say, 20 type of earrings. We have it, Chandbali, Jhumka, so many songs and whatnot, Sui Dhaga. So traditionally there's lot of richness in the kind of jewelry that we have. I think over time what had happened was, because the nature of the category was such that there was sort of a sense of entitlement that if you're the biggest jeweler in the city, you will remain biggest jeweler in that city for the next 30 years.
Sure.
Right. So people stopped fighting, or people stopped trying hard to earn the right to sell jewelry. It came very easy to few, and it was not there with others. So because of that, I think the innovation, etc. that could have potentially been done on designs was not there, because people did not see value in that.
Right.
I think with internet coming in and with the option, with consumers getting this option of going through thousands and thousands of designs sitting at home, I think designs are again at the forefront. So my aspiration for next 10-15 years is to actually create beautiful designs across price points, across categories. We have a lot of beautiful designs, but we are still not present across the categories. So there are categories like necklaces, bangles, etc., where we don't have a very strong presence. We intend to kind of grow those categories also. And the reason for that is also very historic, because when we were doing only online, we realized that selling beyond 20, 25, 30,000 price point was almost impossible online.
Right.
So our catalog kind of grew very, very meaningfully in lower price points and lower price point categories. If it comes to necklaces and bangles, just the sheer size of that actually increases the price so much that you can't bring it under 20, 30, 40,000.
And how are people seeing gold these days? Because of what's all that's happening around the world. The markets are so volatile. Are people purchasing gold out of aspiration or insecurity?
Till around 3 years back, in many households, I had heard when men would say that, why are you wasting money on jewelry? We should put it in SIP or mutual fund. I think women got their voice back.
Of course, women are always right.
And they were right. For 20 years, they were right. Lots of people, in fact, in the financial industry, lots of friends tell me that their mothers, all the things that they did in the last 20 years, the decision that their mother made 20 years back yielded the maximum returns. Right? So it has strengthened the belief, fundamental belief in this category is very, very strong. And because this category, the gold is such that it's linked to almost everything that is happening in the world.
Yeah.
Whether it's oil shock, gold prices get impacted. Whether it's US Fed rate cuts, gold gets impacted. Right? So it's so intertwined in the financial systems that there'll always be ups and downs, like temporal ups and downs in this in gold, and that actually would have an impact on the demand, immediate demand. And sometimes things will go up, sometimes things will go down, plus 5%, -5%, etc. But the fact that the confidence on the underlying strength of gold is very, very strong.
Fantastic. And well, finally, Gaurav, tell us, what have been your biggest learnings about leadership, about managing people at scale? Because ultimately, companies become about people more than their products.
We have a very different philosophy there. So it's just, we run a very lean organization. I'm not a big fan of middle layer. I think middle layer just makes it a thick middle layer, which I call belly fat, is never good. So we generally don't like that thickness in the middle layer. We want people to have lots and lots of ownership. So there's people to work end to end, and if there's an issue, talk directly to people working around you. Right? There's no sense of entitlement. There's no calling departments. So one of the things I don't like also is that marketing will do this or engineering will do this. I saw marketing told me this. I said, marketing don't speak. Someone must have spoken. Why are you not naming that person, right? So once the name is there, then accountability, ownership, etc. is also significantly higher. Also, we don't have HR in our company, which is also a very conscious decision that me and my co-founder took. We feel HR kind of hides more than reveals, or just, I'm not a big fan of HR. In the sense, HR team, I think human resources is way too important for the leaders and founders to leave it to someone else.
Right. Well, all the best to you, and thank you so much for your time. It was lovely chatting with you, Gaurav.
Likewise.
Thank you so much. Before we wrap up today's episode, here's a quick look at our LOT cheat sheet, a quick rundown of the top takeaways from today's episode. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Leaders of Tomorrow Vodcast. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations and keep chasing those big dreams. Until next time, this is Ritwika Gupta signing off.